You know what's better than a big 4 bank? Bank.
Your workflow is important to us. Please wait indefinitely.
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform, you have the power.
As well, which we're going to need to cut up and connect to the filter. They weren't very generous with this. Look how much they gave us, like maybe 2.5 meters. And then a little bag of extra bits and bobs. Most of the time I find that I throw out half of these pieces because they're for very specific cases. So we'll take all these parts out. All right, this is a little bit different to other ones I've set up actually. We'll start off by setting up the way we want the water to filter. So the way most canisters work is you can see each little container has a little, like a pipe, and these will connect and pump water down to the bottom. That water flows up from the bottom through all of the chambers and then comes back out to the top where it's pumped back into the tank. What we want to do is have all of like sponges and stuff probably down the bottom to collect any debris that's going to come through and instantly catch it. Then we're going to have our biological layer. So we'll start with our first layer of just our normal sponge that's going to sit in here. There's actually a little bit of a gap down here too. Then our next layer is going to be biological. So in our filtration, we have mechanical filtration and we have biological filtration. Mechanical is purifying the water, taking out sediment from the water. Biological is providing housing for bacteria, making sure that your water stays pure through a biological process. So this is what this bag of whatever this is gonna aim to do. I don't even know if I want to use this. I'll be back with something better. I found one of these little socks, had the mysterious white media. It's just some ceramic or something, I think. Perfect fit. Probably fucking not. I'll use this for another filter. Fuck's sakes. I'll be back. So here I just have some red lava rock, which we sell in store. And I've just given this a rinse out. This is really porous and it's probably going to be a better media than those ceramic rings. I'd rather use this. And all these little holes are these tiny pieces of rock home to those bacteria. So much better than those ceramic rings. Okay, so now with our scoria,
Your workflow is important
put
to
that in
us.
there and then
Please
finish
wait
it off.
indefinitely.
We'll add,
With Monday.com's
filter gloss,
intuitive
which
work
is
management
also good
platform,
this way.
you
It's
have
just
the
gonna
power.
polish our water off this as well, which we're going to need to cut up and connect to the filter. They weren't very generous with this. Look how much they gave us, like maybe 2.5 meters. And then a little bag of extra bits and bobs. Most of the time I find that I throw out half of these pieces because they're for very specific cases. So we'll take all these parts out. All right, this is a little bit. Hence why I'm making the video. Because the first time I tried to set one of these up, I nearly flooded my whole house. So now we've got both of our pipes connected, cut, and put to the tank. So you can see they're both down here. We've run them behind. If you come look up here, we have the outlet and we also have
Hence why I'm making the video.
So because the first time I tried to set one of these up, I nearly flooded my whole house. So now we've got both of our pipes connected, cut, and put to the tank. So you can see they're both down here. Here, we've run them behind. If you come look up here, we have the outlet and we also have
Hence why I'm making the video.
So because the first time I tried to set one of these up, I nearly flooded my whole house. So now we've got both of our pipes connected, cut, and put. Push it in, push that down, lock that on. That is pretty much the entire setup done. Okay, so now it's all set up, most of the time your filter might have like a little priming button, which you're gonna wanna hit so it starts siphoning water into the canister from the tank. Otherwise, I haven't been able to find a priming button on this one, so I'm just gonna plug it in. Okay, now it's just turning over, so that's not good. Because this one doesn't have a priming button on it, I don't think. And it won't work when I turn it on. I'm gonna have to suck it. And flood the whole room. Okay, now there's water going in there.
Turn it on.
Can you see?
Turn it on.
Now it's on. See, you can actually see the water moving. And that's how a canister filter works. I thought it would have had a priming button on it. But yeah, you can see the water's coming out now. Oh,
Oh, it stopped.
great. So we do have it working. I have attached the inlet and outlet so you can see it's firing up here. Come have a look. It's some nice B-roll. So that's blasting the water out, improving the flow, helping to filter the tank. Should make a huge difference. And if you look, I guess down here might be the best way to look. You can see we've got the outlet down a little bit further. Now, it's very important you add that guard there, because otherwise you're going to suck fish up, you're going to suck shrimp up. Down the bottom, we have our little canister sitting here. So doing its job, taking the water from the top, pumping it through all that filter media and sending it back into our tank. Now, I could leave the video here. I want to quickly show you guys on another model of canister filter how to disconnect it and give it a clean so that you guys completely understand how they work. So let's see if I can even do that. Ready to flood the rest of the room? Got another canister filter in here. So you unplug it. Okay, so you're gonna turn this off. You're gonna pull this out. Okay, I'm just gonna pull that out. Okay, it's out. Oh my God. We take the top off this one, pull the top off, get water all over the floor. That's part of having an aquarium. So it's gonna take this out of its socket. So look at all that sludge. That's what stops it working. And we'll go to the sink and give this a rinse. So we'll clean the impeller. Just try and get the gunk off of it. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit dirty. Let's go layer by layer. Look at all the dead shrimp. How sad. Oh no, look at how many are in there. And we'll start just pulling out the layers. And look, this is where I'm gonna get in trouble as well. You're not meant to clean filter media under tap water because it kills the bacteria. Don't follow what I'm doing because I'm gonna wash this under tap water. I don't care. I know the aquarium that they're in has plenty of bacteria to go around. Get tank water from your aquarium and use that to clean it, like clean tank water. But if you're like me and you don't care, don't abide by the normal rules of the hobby, give it a rinse. Okay, that's layer one. Layer two. What's in here? Oh, there's some ceramic rings. Another version of biological media there. I recommend cleaning your canister filter every 6 months. There is a lot of dead shrimp in here from that power outage. These would have caused an ammonia spike if we didn't catch it. I didn't even think of that. Isn't that crazy? We had a living colony of shrimp in here. And then down the bottom, look at this. Last night we had the power go out for 12 hours. All of the shrimp in here would have died because they weren't getting oxygen. So luckily, we're cleaning this now. Otherwise, they would have caused a huge ammonia spike. But yes, you will have shrimp start living in your canister filter. All right, we'll put this one back together and that's it. So, okay, same story here. We're gonna line these all up the correct way so the holes all line up. Put our impeller back in. Pop that. The impeller's back on now and that's gonna sit like that. So we're gonna put the lid back on and then reattach it through the jigsaw. Right, well, that's how you set up a canister filter and that's also how you service a canister filter. Wasn't the way we wanted it to go. We got there in the end. Good luck with your canister filters, guys. I love them, I hate them. They're good for some tanks, they're good for not good for some others, and they can be a pain in the bum, but they can also be amazing. So yeah.
It's time for the good times. Forget about the bad times.
Hey, how's it going everyone? Welcome back to Keeping Fish Simple. So in today's video, we're gonna be doing the top 7 worst beginner fish out there. These are like fish that should not be recommended to anyone. And this is gonna be basically a beware to all beginners for all of these fish, because I remember my first trip into the pet store. It was a big chain pet store. I remember looking around, seeing lots of cool, cute stuff, but not being aware to the problems that could occur if I bought those fish. So luckily I didn't. I actually did buy one of the fish on this list, but it wasn't too detrimental. So there's gonna be a couple of controversial things on this list. So if you're into controversy and you're gonna get upset about this, I'll probably click away, because these are just gonna be the things that I picked up from keeping fish over the last 7 years, and just some little pieces of knowledge that I would have liked to know, and a lot of things that's gonna save a lot of people and a lot of fish's lives over the long term. So make sure you stay around to the end of the video if you're into that stuff. Without any further ado, let's get started. So number 7 on my list is time with gouramis. I actually never kept them, but everyone like that I tell I keep fish to is like, oh, do you have a shark? No, I don't have a shark, because these guys are very small and cute when you like have a look at them in the fish store and you're like, oh cool, that's a shark. But these guys get big and they're like a big no-no to any beginner. Your chain stores, they're very small, and I won't lie, they look so cute. I was so close to buying an Oscar. Talking about your normal guppies, not your endlers and stuff like that, your normal guppies. These guys, yes, they're a good beginner fish, they can be, but the only reason I put them here is because they come in with so many problems. Half the time when I buy guppies, they come in with worms or a parasite that people don't understand how to fix, and they end up just dying. They think it's their fault. Normally it's the importer's fault and the aquarium store's fault for not quarantining them properly. But guppies, you look at the colors of them, they're so inbred, and over years and years and years of inbreeding, they've become a little bit weaker just genetically. So they can cause a lot of problems, and they can be a little bit finicky to take care of. Now, yes, if you guys know what you're doing with guppies, you know how to worm them, you know how to feed those gold spot plecos. Not great beginner fish. In fact, a lot of plecos I'd say are intermediate fish just because of the cost of them. So a lot of plecos can cost quite a bit because they are a little bit rarer to find, and well, that's just for some of them. But especially big plecos, for the same reasons as your bell. So today we're going to be talking about a fish that I think is an insanely profitable species at the moment that... Well, Dean, we want you to tell us how to make money, and lots of it.
What? Are we rolling?
We're on.
Already?
Yeah.
We're rolling? I really have to pee.
When I was like a little kid, I remember thinking, I had no money because I'm a kid, but I had an allowance and I used to spend that all on fish. And I remember the idea, it must just be like a natural idea of if I take a bunch of fish, I breed them, I sell them, I can make a bit of money and buy more fish. I guess It's not about the money, but you've bred a lot of fish, and I'm sure you can spread a bit of wisdom on what to breed to make a bit of money in the hobby.
It's interesting because when I was a little kid, I didn't have
58
any
years ago.
no money. I had an allowance, and eventually I got what's called a paper route, where you actually delivered the papers for pay. Now they don't do that anymore. But I used to do it on foot or bicycle. I would save that money and buy fish. So very similar, right?
It's just like a disease.
And then I would think, you know, if I reproduce these fish, I can sell those babies and make some money or make more fish. I mean, I first started fish when I was 7. I probably started really getting interested in selling them when I was 13, when I started to realize
The little treat you deserve is here. McCafe Matcha.
La Roche-Posay Mela B3 Serum, the #1 pigmentation serum in Australian pharmacies.
you know, you can buy and sell, and there were no tropical fish shops in my town. Let's just call it the mortician. So the guy that ran the funeral home was kind of running a home tropical fish shop in his basement. I think I found it out through a grocery store guy or someone else telling me that, oh yeah, you could get fish there. And one time I just knocked on their door. I was told by his wife it's by appointment only. I had to call. So I went home and called and made an appointment for the next day. And then I started riding my bike over there and getting my neon tetras or my guppies or whatever from them. And then I got hit by the discus bug at the same time. And they had a little nickel-sized brown discus for $6 each, which was probably 2 months of delivering papers. So I saved a lot. I killed a lot of little baby discus. In the back of my mind, it was always the entrepreneur. Like, I can make more of these.
How do I make something to sell?
Right, exactly. And how do I grow them? Which involved getting more tanks. I had made a tank display out of scrap wood paneling and some corner molding, 2x2. Hit by the discus bug at the same time. And they had the little nickel-sized brown discus for $6 each, which was, and all you saw was the face of them. Then the lid lifted up and you could get in to work on them, change water and stuff like that. You know, that's 2 tanks, but that's not enough to breed for money or for raising fish. And that was the limit that my parents would give me. You can have 2 tanks. So I snuck a couple more tanks in the bottom of the stand. And then, a garage sale, a bigger tank, a 29 came up. So then I was set up with 3 10-gallons and a 15, something like that. A couple 2-gallons that I hid in the corners of these stands. I started putting it all together in my mind that, I can get some fish in here and breed for money. Now, the second fish I ever spawned besides guppies was discus.
You were destined for it.
Yeah, I wasn't super successful at raising discus fry, and all of them that I did raise, I kept for myself. And then I moved on to Grammies, blue, gold, and then pearl. And I spawned all those, and those babies, I got up to 1 inch. And where I had got them from, the mortician. So to speak, took them back in trade, and then I could get more discus. So that's where it kind of all started, and it's downhill from there. This fish room here, pretty much paid for by angelfish. And that didn't come until later. For a long time, I avoided angelfish. I don't know why, but I think it might have been because I was hit by that discus bug, really, really young.
Observability goes way beyond dashboards alone. It's about real-world.
A little more successful, but regardless, it was a really fun process, and I'm excited to have these guys, so let's check them out.
So really quick before we show the start of this process, freshwater process is making sure you remove the eggs or the fry at the right time to make sure any tank mates don't get to them first. This is my 90-gallon aquarium that isn't looking the best at the moment with some algae growth, but the water parameters are solid. As you can see, the angelfish laid eggs for the 3rd time that I've seen in this tank. Each time has been on the filter intake here, which makes it pretty difficult to remove the eggs. Some people will use a piece of slate or even a breeding cone so that they could easily remove it from the tank anytime the eggs are laid. Usually it's going to be on an upward or vertical surface. Since mine were on the filter intake here, I decided to just monitor it over the next day or so, and sure enough, the newly hatched fry were moved.
Alright, so the eggs have hatched, and you can kind of see them wiggling around there. Really small. And they're on this thin piece of driftwood being protected by the angelfish, of course. And they've kind of started clearing off the algae there. And I know if I just let this be, these guys will not make it. They will be picked off by the other fish in the tank. So the only way to make sure they grow up is to remove them from the tank. So I think the plan is to try and cut off that top piece of the driftwood and move it into a separate tank. And here is that tank. I have a spare 10-gallon that I am going to set up. I'm going to fill it up, put a couple pieces of decor in there as well just to have something in the tank. And then I'm going to take from this 20-gallon tank this Seche Shark Pro Nano that's been running on this tank, so it's definitely seated. And this tank can run on the Tidal 35 easily. So we have a seat heated filter that we're going to put in this tank, and then we have a heater and then just a light. So pretty simple setup, but hopefully we can get those angelfish babies in here and then they can grow up and we can see that full process. So the 10-gallon tank is now...
There's almost like a discus angelfish
A little bit.
line.
A little bit. Yet they come from the same water, the same areas. Sometimes they swim together in the wild. I just was bitten by that discus bug and I wanted to be successful with that. It wasn't till probably 17, 18, 19 years old that I had my first angelfish. The first ones I wasn't successful breeding. Obviously, most people are not successful the first time. And that's okay. You know, you just try again. Or try something else if it's not working with your water or your system. By the time I was probably beginning college, I realized that angelfish could buy a lot. By that time, I was driving and I knew where stores were, and they all wanted angelfish. After college, then I realized that I need more tanks. I had a small fish room. Half of it was angelfish, and they would pay for everything. They'd pay for everything.
What made angelfish such a good fish to produce?
That's a good question. Okay, easy to answer. First off, you can buy medium-sized ones, grow them up for a bit, and they will pair off by themselves. You don't have to pair them off. They will pair off by themselves. I totally recommend buying a group of small ones and spending the 8 to 10 months to 12 months growing them up and letting them pair off. Because if you let them pair bond themselves, you're going to have a stronger spawning and bigger spawns. Second off, you could get up to 400, 500, 600 fry sometimes from one spawn. If you think about it, even if you only got half of those to saleable size, that's a pretty good chunk of change.
200, 300 fish.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people ask, well, how does this price structure work? Well, usually it works where if I sell the fish to a wholesaler for $1, they sell it to the shop for $2 to $4. The shop sells it for $12 to $16. Kind of doubles like that. So you end up with a 3-tier structure. A lot of fish for $1 each, maybe half of that many of fish for $2 each, or you're going to sell it to individuals for $12 each and sell them 1 or 2 at a time. I quickly learned that it's better to sell a lot than a few. Much easier.
The Kensington is a project of 142